Hello, I'm Sharon Gaudino, OperaDelaware's outgoing president of the board of directors and soon to be advisory board member. I'm excited to share with you the final product of the strategic planning process, which we completed in 2025. Prior to the current strategic plan, the last time this process was completed at OperaDelaware was in 2018. In 2024, the board assembled a strategic plan task force and began the process. We were fortunate to have a great consultant from the LaSalle University Nonprofit Center who came to us with a substantial amount of nonprofit arts experience. And around the time that we started the engagement with LaSalle, we also were awarded finalists in the Pete DuPont Freedom Foundation's Reinventing Delaware competition. This award came with in-kind consulting services with the company named Social Contract, which also provided services to supplement the work being done by the LaSalle Nonprofit Center. To begin this process, both consultants did quite a bit of work to understand our company and the surrounding environment. They conducted an environmental scan to assess our challenges and opportunities. They conducted focus groups and interviews across a wide spectrum of individuals, including patrons, artists, musicians, donors, and others in the community. They also reviewed our marketing materials and overall financial performance. And finally, they looked at other trends happening in the industry. The goal with this initial work was really to understand industry trends, audience behaviors, and perception within the community of the work being done here at Opera Delaware. The output from the environmental scan was a distillation of the challenges and opportunities facing our organization. Some of this was admittedly confirmation for what we already believed to be true, but some of this work also provided insight that were helpful for shaping how we move forward. Another large part of this work was a review and update of our mission and values. The Opera Delaware mission was worked and refined over the course of several months, with the outcome being what you see here. Opera Delaware produces bold, vibrant, and creative performances that empower artists, enrich the community, entertain audiences, and encourage curiosity. This final work product was reviewed and accepted by the board in June of 2024. In addition to the mission, we knew that we wanted to revisit our core values to better align them with where Opera Delaware is today. Although we are presenting the values up front in this presentation, this part of the process didn't really come together until the very end. This was a very organic and iterative process which occurred over the course of many conversations and discussions held by the task force and with the board throughout the year. Our consultant listened carefully and helped to distill the themes that continued to surface over several months. In the end, we refined those themes into the 4 values that you see here. Please feel free to pause this recording to read through these statements. Over the last several years, it's become clear that our industry needs a change. Artists are finding it increasingly difficult to remain in the business due to its incredibly difficult lifestyle and instability. Patron behavior is changing, and the large donor pool is shrinking. With these themes in mind, we created a strategic plan that tackles 5 goals, including redefining how opera is funded, redefining how opera artists are supported, redefining how opera is managed, redefining how opera engages with the community, and providing diverse programming. The next few slides will go into more detail on each of these. In the process, our next steps were to establish key performance indicators that we can use to measure success, and also to assign ownership for each of these goals. Goal number 1 focuses on ensuring that we have the funding to be sustainable and incorporates use of the company artist model. The company artist model, which we began seriously discussing during this process, is a new approach and a major change in how opera companies traditionally engage with artists. It changes the employment relationship from short-term contract labor to a longer-term employee model. This allows artists the stability of a set salary and benefits while embedding them in our community where they can participate in the world alongside our patrons. This makes them available to produce more art here in our backyard throughout the year and also to contribute to the organization in a meaningful way. This is also an investment in our workforce, in that artists have the opportunity to be part of the administrative side of the business if they eventually want to consider a different role past their musical careers. In 2024, Opera Delaware applied for and was awarded a grant from the Longwood Foundation to pilot this program. The key performance measurements you see here were outlined in that grant application. These are the metrics that we expect are a reasonable outcome of having company artists engaged throughout the year. So, who is monitoring and actively working on this goal? Well, in addition to staff, the committees that have been tasked with monitoring and assisting with moving this goal forward are the Finance Committee, the Resource Development Committee, and the Artistic Planning Committee. Feel free to pause here to review this information in more detail. Goal number 2 focuses on ensuring artists are supported in this new model. We identified several performance measures that can be used to determine success in this area. In addition to staff, the committee tasked with monitoring this goal is the Executive Committee. Feel free to pause here to review these in more detail. The third goal focuses on longevity of the art form by ensuring artists are actively engaging their creativity while expanding their skills for future opportunities. Again, we identified several performance measures that can be used to determine success in this area. Some of these are admittedly more difficult to track than others, but this is a good start for understanding long-term viability. In addition to staff, the committee tasked with monitoring and assessing moving this goal forward is the Executive Committee. Again, feel free to pause to review these in more detail. The fourth goal focuses on community engagement. Here we focused on developing a stronger, more intentional relationship with the community, which will allow us to better understand and adapt to patron behaviors and expectations while establishing new donor pools. In addition to staff, the committees tasked with monitoring and assisting with moving this goal forward are the Audience Development Committee and the Idea Committee. Feel free to pause to review these in more detail. Finally, the last goal focuses on artistic programming. In this goal, we focused on ensuring that our programming reflects both traditional and contemporary works to connect with audiences, but that respect our traditions. This extends past our main stage performances to include studio series events, recitals, and other second stage performances. In addition to staff, the committees tasked with monitoring and assisting with moving forward this goal are the Artistic Planning Committee, the Audience Development Committee, and the Resource Development Committee. And again, feel free to pause to review these in more detail. While the strategic plan itself is complete, we acknowledge that the strategic plan is just the starting point. The real work will be ongoing. We will continue to utilize these documents to evolve over time and adjust where needed. Thanks to the work of our steadfast consultants, alongside our dedicated board and staff, we have a strong foundational base on which to grow. This is such an exciting time for Opera Delaware, and we are truly grateful to each of you for being part of our extended family. Your support, whether through sharing our work, introducing us to potential collaborators, or simply staying engaged, makes a real difference. If you have any questions about what you've seen here, please feel free to reach out to Opera Delaware staff or board leadership. Thank you again for listening, and we hope to see you at one of our upcoming performances.